The amazing pleasure to introduce you guys to a fantastic lady that I met, gosh, I don't even know, more than 20 years ago, I'm sure, um, through my business that I used to have. And this lady just, has gone through a lot of different things. She's tried some different stuff. And then she landed on the spot that she is now and has navigated this through some tough waters. I mean, that we all went through in different economies, and she's figured out exactly how to do it. She is had a very great success with her business. And we just really want to share her story with you guys today, because I think it's important for everybody to see that anybody in any kind of business navigates through crazy stuff. And it's how you figure out how to do it and reaching out to people who have done it to try to get their input. So I want to introduce you guys to my friend and colleague, Bonnie Morris. Bonnie, thanks so much for your time today.
Hi, how you doing? Well, thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure. Looking forward to this. So,
Awesome. Wonderful. Well, I'm really excited to have you on. And as I said, Bonnie and I have known each other for a long time. And so, Bonnie, tell everybody about you. Tell us like who you are, some of the things that maybe you did before you did what you're
okay.
doing now. Then tell us how you got into what you're doing and what you are doing. What is your business?
Okay. Well, I'm Bonnie Morris, and I am the owner of Arrow American Pest and Termite Control. We've been in business actually 18 years. How I met Connie was I was in real estate for a lot of years, for 12 years, I think it was. And it was when the market was going down and stuff like that. I actually got I was doing property management at that point for a local company, and I got laid off and I went to a job fair where Terminex was. And Terminex was saying, they kept on calling me, going, you need to come talk to us. I kept saying, bugs have, nah, that's not going to happen.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, it was like, no, that's not going to happen. And they kept saying, no, you don't have to really deal with the bugs. They were looking for a commercial salesperson, and I obviously real estate, a lot of sales experience, and I went and talked to them and found out, this isn't that bad of a gig, and they trained me. I was very successful with them. Did everything I needed to do. Actually went with then went with a smaller company. That didn't quite work out as well, and I decided that okay, I can do this myself. Got all the everything I needed to get the business going, and it was it's been quite a ride. We opened in March of 2002, and if you live in the Plata, you know what happened in April 2002. The tornado came through and destroyed I only had one truck, destroyed the windshield,
Oh
and
my.
we had a termite job. So yeah, they're driving down the street. I had the company was getting me the windshield, and they still had to do the job. And there's been a lot of fun going through this process. It's been a lot of fun. So, but a lot of trials too. So
Well, and that's some of the things that we're talking about through this series is that as an entrepreneur, things happen, as a business owner or even somebody who runs a business, things happen that you can't suspect. I mean, yeah, a tornado came through and took out your one and only truck the first year of your business. I mean, how do you
month and a half.
deal with that? I mean, oh my gosh. And then, 6 years later, then the housing crisis happened, which I'm sure had some effect on your business as well.
Yeah, we're a little we're a little resistance to for the down because people are still taking care of their houses.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we did not go crazy with business or anything like that, which we had been doing. We had some really good increases every year, and we just kind of maintained. But
Good.
but then it had an effect on everybody. It absolutely had an effect. We were lucky. We were a little cushioned. Even through now with the pandemic, we're still working. It is swarm season, so everybody's working. Everybody's working. Thank goodness. But there's a whole other line of what we have to do to get these jobs done to keep everybody safe. Because I got to keep
Yeah.
people healthy and stuff like that.
So give us a little plug about your business too. Tell us a little bit about what your business does. So, I mean, part of this series is definitely to showcase businesses and what you do. And so tell us a little bit about that, because that's some of the stuff that people, one of the things I help a lot of people do is learn how to talk to the regular community about, what all the knowledge that you have. And so I think this is a great opportunity to share some of the things that you know about this particular industry that those are the things that none of us would ever understand.
Right. Yeah, because
You
you don't
said
use
storm season. That's kind of freaky. So tell us about that.
yeah, you don't call pest control. It's not the glamorous jobs everybody wants. It is, but it's a necessary job, and it's a great industry to be in. We actually we use chemistry and biology every day. Because we have to learn the biology of the bugs, and we also have to know the chemistry of working the chemicals and things like that, and what to do. So it's the concoction. But we can take care of your ants, crickets, spiders, mice, your stuff that you don't want in your house normally. That's our bread and butter. We do restaurants, we do hotels, we do any kind of any kind of office, doctors' offices, things like that. That's what our mainstay is we just keep the bugs out of the house or the business.
Okay.
We also treat termites, which a lot of people don't understand. This time of year, they're seeing what they call swarm. It's when the kings and queens come out to breed. And what you're actually seeing is the future kings and queens that do the breeding for making new colonies. They're not actually the ones damaging your house. The ones damaging your house actually eat all year round because our houses are heated. They don't know it's winter when they're in your house. So they are actually doing damage year round. So we do stay busy year round with termite control because they eat your house year round. So, people, especially Christmas time, a lot of people start moving their stuff to get their Christmas stuff out, and they see something on the wall or something a box they move full of dirt. You need to call me when you see that. But there are people that do preventatives to make sure that they don't have the problems. So we do a lot of termite work.
Nice.
And it's very successful. We also do mosquito work. That's a fairly new thing that we've added on. Last few years been very successful. We do it from April through, as soon as the leaves get on the trees, we start treating for mosquitoes, especially with the warm weather now, which this year we've had a nice warm year, until about October, that's when the mosquitoes are usually biting. Very successful. The way it works, it's not like the guy that's driving down the street and just spraying the.
When we were a kid and everybody would run inside. Oh my God, the mosquito truck's coming.
Yeah, but that's a different mosquito. That's actually the night biters. We're actually how we treat is the day biters. Like I said, there's a whole science to how the bugs are treated. They're going after one specific type of mosquito or class of mosquitoes. We're going after a different class, which are the ones that are biting you through the day and the dusk and dawn, which is usually when people are outside.
Right. Okay.
So that's the ones we're going out within your own area. I actually had one customer said that he lived in an area where there's a lot of mosquitoes on the water, and he was on his property and just enjoying life, sitting on his deck, and he walked across the lot line, across to the next neighbors, which wasn't that far, and got bit up unbelievably, and walked back to his property and was not getting bit up again because he had us treating it. That's how Pacific.
Interesting. Wow, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah,
Wow.
because mosquitoes only fly so many feet. That most mosquitoes only fly so many feet, so you have to know what you're doing. So,
interesting.
Yeah,
he won't go to that neighbor's house again.
I'm sorry.
I said he won't be going to that neighbor's house again.
No.
Not during mosquito season, anyway.
He wanted them to get the mosquito control.
Yeah, I bet. All right, cool. That's really interesting. I mean, gosh, I learned a whole lot already about you too, things I didn't even know. So, I mean, we've known each other for a long time, but I always enjoy these conversations because I can find out so much information about that I didn't necessarily know. So let's go back to talking about the entrepreneurial side of your business. So when you decided to stop working for somebody else doing sales and said, well, I can do this. Tell us a little bit about that, because that's a thing that I think a lot of people, that transition. So you obviously saw a need, and, we've talked about this a little bit with a lot of different entrepreneurs, but you saw a need and you said, this is, definitely there's other options out there. So what made you decide it was a great idea to go from working for somebody else to saying, hey, I'm going to do this myself?
Well, a little bit of background, as you know, I did real estate for a lot of years, and I really enjoyed working for myself. So that was always in the back of my mind that I wanted to be self-employed. Didn't know what it was going to look like. I was looking. I was definitely looking. When I went to work for Terminex and learned, pretty profitable little business.
Yeah.
What they can do. It like I said, it's just resistant to a lot of the economy because people take care of their houses or their businesses no matter what. So I was like, this makes sense, and I had learned a lot working for Terminex that I watched them. I watched what they did. I watched what they liked, what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it. But because I had
Hmm.
also learned through the years is when I want to do something, I don't look at the people that aren't doing it. I look at people that are where I want to be, and I started watching. I started watching a lot of people what they were doing and how they were doing it, and I decided that okay, I can do this. And so I learned a lot. It was over a lot of years that I was watching people learning this. And when I finally did it, I actually went out and got an investor to help me start the business up, which still is a very good silent partner. I mean, he's been great the whole time. And he helped me get started. Yes, it's very scary because the day I opened was March 1st, 2002, and I had no business. I had one technician that I hired. And luckily, somebody I had worked with at Terminex. He came to work for me. And I'm sitting looking like I got to pay you a paycheck, and I just started knocking on doors, and I
Yeah.
just knocked on doors and knocked on doors, and of course, because of my real estate experience, I had a nice little network,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
people started give me little pieces of jobs, and eventually, and by the end of the first year, I knew this was going to work. I'd gone about 4 months without a paycheck, and I've never turned back.
Nice. Nice. That's an interesting thought too, because, well, a couple things here that you talked about, but so I want to run back through a little bit of it, but that paycheck thing is an interesting concept too, because I think that's a scary thing for a lot of people. And people just assume like when you start that let's start with that, because people assume that when you start a business, you're like, um, I think people are on both sides of the fence about this. Some people are like, "Oh, I'm gonna have my own business, so I can pay myself whatever I want to pay." And then there's other people who say, hey, I have my own business. I'm not going to be able to afford to do this. And how long am I going to be able to afford to go without a paycheck? So that's interesting that you brought that up.
Oh yeah, because it was a very important part of it. Because I was working up until then, so we were dependent. I had teenage children at that point and things like
Hmm.
that, and they're expensive. So luckily, my
For
husband
sure.
yeah, luckily my husband was working, and we were had some stability, but it still was very nerve wracking. Um, but I was working too. So I mean, so as I was treating myself as an employee when it came to the paychecks. So if I had a technician working and money's coming in, obviously I had to pay them first.
Yeah.
Um, but I also looked at I was paying me based on what I was selling. I mean, I wasn't going crazy. I wasn't giving myself these huge paychecks because the money wasn't there, and but it all worked out because you have to look at what your bottom line is you should have so much in payroll, so much in for me, I had to have so much in trucks, I had so much in chemicals, I had in order to make a profit. And
Right.
and obviously the first couple of years you don't make a profit, but as long as if you're paying yourself, I consider that profit. Uh,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well,
so
that's interesting. So let's talk about that whole paycheck husband wife kind of concept, because yesterday I talked to Beverly Brown, who was also talking about when she decided to open her business, how her and her husband had a sit down really and said, okay, let's go through the numbers. Let's go through our life. You had teenage children, so those are real expenses, real life. You have house payments and kids and things like that. So when you're deciding to make this decision, talk to us a little bit about that. I mean, not obviously exactly what you guys discussed, but what that looks like, because that's real. I mean, those are things that people need to think about.
yeah, I mean, but obviously my husband had to be on board. I mean,
Yeah.
and he knew that for years I wanted to start a business, and we both decided at that time that this was the right opportunity. Um,
Hmm.
so yes, he was definitely on board because he was a big support when I would be. I mean, we started it in my house, so we had a small bedroom that was was my office, and then I had a truck sitting outside that the guy would come pick up and go to work,
Mhm.
and I obviously had to store the chemical and all that good stuff. So it did affect him because you
Yeah.
know the truck was in the driveway. It was, he had to store we had to store the chemical and stuff in places where he normally would have his lawn stuff and things like
Yeah. His
that.
man stuff.
Yeah, so it was, he was great to have as a partner. To well, not that he was a business partner, but he helped me get everything. So it was really important to have that support. But even if it would have made it very much harder if he
Yeah.
hadn't.
Yeah.
But we looked at, we knew where we were financially and stuff like that. We knew that it would be a little tight, but we just knew for our future that this would be the way to go, and that was what was important. So.
That's good. That's good. And I think having these conversations are real because you even talk about, him not being your business partner, which he's not. But, like I know when I had my business, my husband wasn't in our business either, but he was he was like the crucial part of my team that just, kept holding my back up when things got heavy or, talking me through the crazy stuff or when I wanted to do something, being supportive or giving me some real thoughts about, okay, yeah, I'm going to be supportive, but have you thought about this, that, and the other? So at least giving you all of that well-roundedness. And I
Oh,
think that's really important for people to understand.
yeah, many nights he'd come home from work because he was working too. He'd come home
Yeah.
from night, and I'd still be sitting at the desk, finishing up the paperwork from that day. Getting the paperwork ready for the night for the next day. And
Mhm.
the bookkeeping part. You got to do it every day.
Yeah.
You can't let that get out of the line. The deposits still need to be made. The bills still have to be paid, and you can't be late because that just messes everything up. So
Yeah.
it just
Yeah.
just like you run your household, you have to run the business and make sure that the bills are being paid and everything like that, or you won't have vendors and things
Right.
like that.
Well, then you won't have business. That's right. Well, so this
Yeah,
goes to another interesting point that I think we've talked about a lot through this series is knowing how to delegate things to people that you aren't your forte. So in your case, the accounting, you knew you took care of those, that making sure those bills were paid and making sure those things were taken care of. But you knew having a technician was the best use of your time and money, as opposed to you going out and do that job. You went out and were doing the sales, which was the better use of your skills and time. So talk to us a little bit about that, because those are decisions that you have to make that sometimes people get a little afraid of because they say, oh my gosh, I'm starting a business. I can't afford to pay somebody to do this or that or the other. And you have to make some of those real decisions right up front.
and you'll make them very quick because you'll find out. Taxes is a really good example for me. I would try to spend a little bit of time to do the taxes, and it would end up being hours. And I'd be like, "This is stupid. I could be out selling jobs." So that was really the first thing I delegated out, other than the employee, was to have the taxes, because it was not that was not my forte. It just I was pull my hair out then to figure out what
Yeah.
all this was. And that was the first thing I did. I delegated out the taxes, and to make sure, because that's really important, to make sure your payroll and everything is being paid on time.
Mm.
And then the employee was a big thing because I knew that I couldn't do both. Because when an employee doesn't show up, I had to do both, and it was not
Good
easy.
point. Good
And
point. Well,
that
and you know what I like about that
was
point
so.
that's really what I like about that point that's really interesting is, I think sometimes when you're transitioning from working for someone else to working for yourself, you think, well, I love doing this and it's going to be great. I'm going to run out. I'm going to get these customers and we're going to go take care of that work. But speak for a minute about, as we're talking about delegating the things you're not good at, how about also delegating because you're only one human being and there's so many added things. Now you're not just doing the thing that you love, but you got all these other things.
Right, right. Oh, that's that's the fun part. Is figuring out what you're good at, and what's getting the right people in place that are good at what they do, that you can trust and things like that. That's good. That's also a big thing. So getting the employees was probably the hardest job, because not not everybody is fit for you and for the company.
Mhm.
So we went
Mhm.
through. We did go through. But we still continue to go through employees on a regular basis, because, and like everybody else. But I do have a core now that because we've been in business so long, I do have the core that it makes the business run, and I thank
Mhm.
God every day.
Mhm.
But being able to delegate that information at first was difficult. It was trying to figure out what I could do and what I couldn't do. My best thing I ever did was when I got my administrator to come in and help me with the lot of the in office stuff, because again, my forte is being out with the customers,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
I
Well,
love
and
networking and everything else, and
right.
that was it. So
And you are really good at that. And some people aren't good at that. Maybe they're better at the office work. But you know, the interesting part about this is people who are not in business for themselves, but work for someone else, as soon as they open a business, one of the first things they realize is there's so much more that happens behind the scenes. I'll never forget in my business when somebody left my employment and they had been with me for a long time, and everybody said, well, what are you going to do? Because that person did everything. What did you do? And well, there's a lot of things that you do behind the scenes that people have no idea that makes that business run, because without some of those other pieces, like you're talking about, accounting, administrative work, payroll, the going out and doing that job, those kinds of things. There's just so many behind the scenes things. And it's okay to figure out what you're good at and what you're not, and to share the responsibility with somebody else who is good at that. So.
mhm. And finding the rest of the trusted people to do it is the
Mm.
best thing you do, and it does happen. So
And that was what I was going to speak to next, is talk to us a little bit about that. You're talking about employees and delegating work and things like that, but you have had some great success with finding people that have stuck with you for a long time. And so tell us what you feel like maybe that success formula is, because I think that's a really hard thing. People that are in their own business trying to figure out, how do you do that? I mean, what do you do that makes that really work? That maybe is different, or what was an aha moment that you said, now I know what I was doing wrong.
it's an ever ending battle. The hiring is going to be ever ending battle because it is a constant going up and down. People come, go, stuff like that. But like I said, my core people that have been with me for a long time
Mhm.
is because first thing I do is I don't hire by myself. I always have somebody else in the room, whether it's another employee or a business partner or somebody. I always have another person in the room because I found that as I'm interviewing, I may see something that somebody else is not seeing, or they may see something, and if we both don't agree, if we both have that feeling, we don't hire, because there's a reason for it. Check your gut, and stuff like that.
Mhm.
It's a big thing. But when your gut's also saying, yeah, they're the ones that usually are, usually the ones that have worked out. So but
Interesting.
I never do it by myself because of that, because I might have one feeling and somebody else might have the other feeling. And if there is any conflict in those feelings, I have just found that works for us, that
Mhm.
that's not the person to hire then.
Mhm.
And because every time we've hired them, when we said, well, maybe it'll be okay, it hasn't worked out. And so
Yeah.
the ones that we have that have lasted long periods of time have been because everybody was like, aha, that this is a good fit.
A
So
good thing. Do you have some kind of special things that you do that maybe makes people want to stay longer, stay with you, as opposed to looking for a different opportunity, or some secret or way that you do something a little bit differently that maybe you've seen that others don't, and maybe you attribute that to why your core people have stayed with you for a long period of time?
I think it's taking care of your people, treating them like your customers.
Yeah.
Treating them like your customers. They're the ones taking care of my customers, and they're the ones that are on the front line. I One thing that's never ever going to ever happen is their paychecks are never late. Never,
Mhm.
absolutely. They're there on time. They're right. They're correct. And that's a lot of detail to make sure. Luckily, I don't have a huge payroll, but as it's getting bigger, it's a lot of detail. And
Yeah.
just do nice stuff for them. If there's a personal issue they have, work with them and stuff like that. Obviously, they can't interfere with the business, but you don't want an unhappy employee. Everything's not perfect. They work hard and they come back tired. They come back sometimes happy. They sometimes come back cranky. Trucks break down and we have to deal with all that and stuff. You just try to be, try to understand that they got the stress too, and try to treat them like you want to be treated. And
Yeah.
that's what I've, is if I treat them like I like to be treated, then we all get along a whole lot better. So
Yeah, yeah, excellent. Well, and that's really good advice because I think the one thing that people don't always understand, especially when you're opening your own business, you're used to being an employee. You're not used to being the person that takes care of the employees. So you have to understand how to take care of that team so that they want to continue to come to work every day and take care of you. And so I think that's really good information. Thank you. That's really helpful, sound advice, and very good information for somebody who's thinking about these things because those are some challenges that you have to deal with as well. So, Bonnie, tell us if you got stuck in an elevator with somebody, you're good at this because you're the sales lady. But if you got stuck in an elevator with four people, and you went around the elevator and said, "Hey, what do you do for a living? Tell us in 10 words or less what you do for a living," so I would understand it a little bit better.
for what I do for a living,
Yes, ma'am.
okay, we we take care of your businesses and your homes for pest and termite control.
Nice.
Stuff.
Short and sweet. Perfect. Perfect. Absolutely. And I think we've gotten so much information about not just termites, because obviously that's the name of your company, but the pests, I really wouldn't have thought about if I have mice or things like that, that those are things that you guys can take care of as well. So really good information to know. If Bonnie, if somebody wants to get in touch with you after today, how would they find you?
You can reach us on call us at 301-643. No, it's wrong number. 301-609-9300. And Arlene's down there. She'd be happy to talk to you. Or if I pick up, I'd be happy to talk to you. We do have a website, arrowamericanpest.com.
Okay.
And please give us a call. We'd love to hear from you.
Awesome. When we get finished, do me a favor and just type it in the bottom of in the comments. So if anybody's looking, they can click right on it too. Guys, I am going to also share this link to the replay tomorrow on Bonnie's page on Facebook and then on LinkedIn. So if anybody's looking around, also on my YouTube, so Bonnie can share it wherever she wants to as well. Bonnie, it has just been an absolute pleasure having you on and learning so much. I've known you for so long through my previous business, but
Right.
a lot of things I learned today that I didn't know about you. So it was definitely my pleasure and a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. So much good information, guys. And again, we're digging deep into finding out how these people that are running these amazingly successful businesses, some of the struggles that they've gone through, there are things that you may be dealing with as well. It happens to us all. We all have, Bonnie had a partner she took on that helped her financially to get started. That's, those are options and these are things. So don't be afraid to reach out to me, to any of the people we've interviewed. Bonnie has some great information and certainly everybody is willing to help each other. So that's what this series is all about. Again, Bonnie, thank you so much for your time. And until next time, guys, I'll see you back. Entrepreneurial Live interviews with Connie Fuksa, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.